You're listening to the Back Porch Talk podcast. Danny and Jason had many discussions and debates on the back porch while making pivotal investment moves with assets. That's right, with trading cards. They welcome you to the back porch and right into those discussions about current sports news with a fresh and unique twist. So come on and join us. Welcome to the Back Porch Talk podcast. I'm your co-host, Jason.
It's your co-host, Danny.
Fans, we got the top 10 show, the top 10 sports stories of 2023. Here we are, Danny. Happy New Year. Fans, Happy New Year to you and your families. Let's get right to it, Danny.
Mm-hmm.
Now, listen to this, and I'm going to put them in order as we go to make it even a little bit funner here for us. But one of my top 10, I would say at number 10 would be Aaron Rodgers' Achilles tear. First game with the Jets, he had, 2-3 plays and goes down. That's number 10 on my list. How about you?
Number 10 sports story for me was Formula One debuting in Vegas and Max Verstappen dominating the season. Formula One has been on U.S. soil before, but they debuted in Las Vegas, and it was pretty cool to see that track in Vegas. So it was number 10 on my list.
Awesome. I'm glad you got that one, man. Number 9 for me, Danny, Damar Hamlin and the medical emergency on the field. We hadn't seen anything like that before. And thanks to the medical staff, Damar Hamlin has recovered and is back on the field. So that would be my number 9. How about you?
Jason, funny enough, that is my number 9 story of the year, having a strong recovery and being actually able to get back on the field. I felt definitely it was a top 10 story. I was just glad that everything worked out well for the brother and the medical staff that helped him.
My number 8, Danny, and I'm just going to say this is more so with regards to the influence and the power that this system has, and that is the transfer portal. The transfer portal continues to be a huge influence and a place in where student athletes can go. They can make the decision. They have the power of their college career, sports career in their hands. And the transfer portal, to me, is the number 8 story. Teams get great players from the transfer portals. They can change their team within a matter of a year. We've seen that happen, good, bad, or indifferent. So my number 8 is the transfer portal, Danny. How about you?
My number 8, Jason, was the NCAA Final Four not having a top seed in the Final Four, where it was a lot of underdogs. So you have San Diego State, University of Connecticut, the Huskies, Miami U, and Florida Atlantic. And it actually was a pretty good Final Four for not having one of the top teams. UConn, you can consider that, but they had a down year coming into the tournament. It's my number 8 top story.
That's a good one, Danny. That's a good one. My number 7 story is that of, I'm going to go global here, Danny. Lionel Messi coming to the States. In Miami, man. Huge sports story. On the heels of him winning him and the team winning the World Cup, and the issues that happened with him and his contract and all that stuff, but he ends up on U.S. soil, arguably one of the greats of all time. I don't know if I can give him that moniker just as yet, but Lionel Messi coming to the States is my number 7 story. How about you, Danny?
My number 7 story is Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's relationship and the impact on the NFL. Travis Kelce has been like in every commercial over the summer and now into the NFL season. Taylor Swift being at the games and her tour and all that. So it was a big deal because I think it brought new eyes to the NFL. Now Travis Kelce is actually struggling, so I don't know if he's struggling as a result of this relationship or if it's his age or whatever the case may be. But I think that was a big story, especially from the NFL, which is probably the powerhouse from a sports perspective in the States.
Danny, my number six story, but I gotta say, Shohei Ohtani getting paid $700 million over 10 years, but he also deferred, the money as well. This is the all-time baseball record.
Mm-hmm.
In a sense, you're almost getting two players in one. Probably not this year because of the injury that he has. A pitcher and a hitter, an MVP winner, getting paid. Not for the Angels. He's in that Dodger blue, and he again deferred that money so that way the Dodgers can sign some additional players. That's just going to be very tough to beat. And oh boy, if they win this World Series, the endorsements are going to come even further for Ohtani, man.
Mm-hmm.
So that is my number six story. How about you, Dan?
Jason, my number six is the LSU women basketball team winning the NCAA championship, the first in the LSU history, basketball history for the women, which was a great game in the championship when they faced off against Iowa and Caitlin Clark. Mm-hmm. So we can all remember Angel Reese and the controversy there towards the end of that game. Mm-hmm. But all in all, man, they had a great tournament, and for them to win their first championship was a great accomplishment. So that was my number six story.
My number five story, Danny, is that of none other than LeBron James breaking the NBA scoring record with his 38,388th point, bypassing that of the captain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who held this record for close to 39 years, Danny.
Yep.
The sky hook is the most dominant single move in the NBA history, man. Mm-hmm. I still don't understand why people don't try to utilize that, but there's been probably different forms of it, but man, there's nothing like that sky hook, man. But LeBron does it by breaking the record. How about you? What's your top five?
My number five story, Jason, is Wemby Mania. Victor Wembanyama coming to the NBA after all the hype and, all this fanfare. He actually debuted with the San Antonio Spurs with 15 points. And he hasn't disappointed in my eyes, especially with all the pressure and everything put upon him before he even dribbled the basketball. So I think he's handling it well, and he'll continue to grow as long as they put pieces around him. But Wemby is my number five.
My number four, Danny, is none other than Magic Johnson becoming part owner of the Washington Commanders. You all know this by now, man. Magic Johnson is my favorite all-time basketball player. And to see him become part owner of the Lakers, the Dodgers, and now the Commanders, you talk about a winner. Businessman, he wins. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do this offseason with the Washington Commanders, coaching and personnel, whatever the case may be, because Magic is a winner. I got to say Magic Johnson's my top four. What about you, Danny?
Well, Jason, another one we're matching on was Magic taking part ownership of the Washington Commanders, and listening to Magic in his interviews when he does them, he wants to win, man. So I can see this old regime just being, the whole house being cleaned out. They need to get in a quarterback. They need pieces there. They did a sell-off this season. So they're going to be in the rebuild process, and Magic and the current owner are going to be aggressive on trying to turn that thing around as soon as possible because they want ROI. Granted, NFL is its own ROI, but they want to bring the fans back and actually bring something there where they can actually make the playoffs and make a playoff run, which they haven't done in a couple of years since like Chase Young and Montez Sweat were actually there and healthy. So yeah, Magic was my number 4 as well.
My number 3, Danny, is that of Coach Prime at Colorado. The fanfare, the prestige,
Mm-hmm.
the notoriety, the eyeballs, the viewership, the attendance, you name it, at the very beginning of the season. Colorado, who only won one game last year, wins first game, and then ultimately they go on to win multiple games throughout the course of the season. Didn't make a bowl game, had the opportunity to do just that. But I don't think we've seen the last of Coach Prime and Colorado Buffaloes. Going to be interesting next year. I think, i.e., the transfer portal, that system that's in place is going to transform this team. And so I give Coach Prime being at Colorado the nod here. How about you?
So Jason, my number 3 story was actually Aaron Rodgers going to the New York Jets and not completing a pass. You hit on all the details in your earlier in the show, but it was just one of those stories where it was back and forth. It was eerily similar to the Brett Favre saga for you Packer fans from back in the day. And, the Packers said, all right, we'll let you go. But I think in this whole deal, the Packers could have got more in return for Aaron Rodgers. So I think they dropped the ball a little bit there where they could have, I think, grabbed some more capital in return for him, maybe a year or two before, if they knew the writing was on the wall anyway. So that was my top 3.
My second top story for 2023, none other than my FAMU Rattlers winning the Celebration Bowl
Mm-hmm.
and winning the HBCU National Championship. Danny, I attended this game. I was hoarse from this game as a result. You talk about an up and down roller coaster ride for this game. This was something to behold. And I would say coupled with that is the SWAC championship game. I went to that game as well. Went through the weather delays, all that stuff. Won that game to get to the Celebration Bowl and then ultimately to win it. My top 2 tour story. How about you?
Number 2 for me, Jason, was LeBron breaking the scoring record. LeBron has had a storied career, and for him to do this, and he's doing it still at a high level too. It's not like he's limping around. Mm-hmm. If you remember Kobe, late in his career, he had the Achilles issues, and he had that famous last game, but he was hobbled. LeBron is still a key component of this team, and if he's not performing, they're not going to go anywhere in the playoffs. So for him to do this at the level he's playing at, I think is a great accomplishment for all the miles on his body, with him coming in right out of high school. So congratulations to him, and that's my number 2.
Jay, my top sports story is that of Coach Willie Simmons, rumored to leave Florida A&M University as the head football coach. And that rumor became true when he turned the calendar to January 1, and where he officially resigned his position as the Florida A&M head football coach to take on a new role as the running backs coach at Duke University. But leading up to this decision, Danny, I have to give a ton of credit to Coach Simmons and his family for just all of the multiple hours, the stress in dealing with just being a football coach, but being a Florida A&M Rattler football coach, where the fan base, yes, Rattler Nation, is like no other. And he did the thing, man. He has had a successful career, and I wish him nothing but the best. He fulfilled his promise, and I admire that. And so that's my top sports story for the year. And I have to say this too. Rattler Nation raised funds to help with the counter offer that Duke presented, and didn't get it this time, but I think this is going to offer an opportunity for us to help with the assistant coaches. But Coach Willie Simmons, rumored to leave, then ultimately turning the page to the next calendar, 2024, January 1, he resigns. That's my top sports story. How about you, Danny?
My top story was actually Coach Prime leaving Jackson State and going to Colorado, and them starting off 3-0. Because if you remember, that first game was against TCU, who was ranked at the time, and they had just came out of the national championship game. And Colorado was not even close to being favored in that game, and they came out and put it to them. And the momentum just carried for those first 3 weeks. And it was just the impact he had on the sports world and all the people that were coming in. You know how it is, though. Everyone jumps on the bandwagon. You know, I think he handled it very well considering how the season ended up and where they were at the highest high and then kind of the lowest low, if you want to think about it from a season perspective, because they didn't make the bowl game. And how he turned that program around in short order with leveraging the transfer portal. And it'll be interesting to see how next year goes and what his sons decide to do. So there's a lot hanging that I'm waiting to see here in 2024 on how Coach Prime operates and what he does and what his impact will be, because anywhere he goes, he's going to have that impact. So I'm just hoping now the foundation has been set and now he can build on that. But obviously we'll see once college gets going after we finish the national championship and all this stuff going on right now.
Danny, I have a few honorable mentions.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. First, Milwaukee Bucks getting Dame. That's one.
Yep.
Tennessee State University having a hockey team. That's another. Steph contributing major dollars to the Howard golf team. And Fisk University women's gymnastics team.
No, man, it was a great sports season. You know, there's always ups and downs, but it was a lot going on, and looking forward to a great 2024 year of sports.
Thank you for joining us at Back Porch Talk Podcast. You can also join us on Twitter by tweeting us at @back_podcast. For more information, you can go to our website, which is backporchtalkpodcast.com. You can also email us at backporchtalkpodcast@gmail.com. Again, thank you for joining us, and remember that there's enough hate in the world, so go ahead and spread a little love.